Well, it's about time we're cooler in Nashville.
Is it really going to be cooler?
Yeah, it's supposed to be in the 80s instead of in the 90s.
Really?
Yep. Which is going to be phenomenal since last week was so...
Yeah, blazingly hot.
Blazingly hot. And, I mean, the humidity wasn't quite at the level it is during the summer.
Yeah.
But it was damn close.
Well, it was in the 90s.
It was. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it's going to be humid.
Only 60... I think it only got up to 60% humidity, though.
Oh, well, that's nothing.
That's nothing. Not really. Mm-mm. So, John?
We've already started rolling, haven't we?
Yeah, we have.
You know why I know that? I know that
I get into my radio voice.
You get into your radio voice.
Yeah.
You start to, well, John,
you'll
never believe what the temperature was like in Nashville. Who the hell is this?
Oh, it's Nick the weather guy.
It is.
Potty weather.
Yeah, wow.
Welcome to the Potty Weather News Station, or something like that.
That's terrible.
I know. Well, I'm terrible.
You're wonderful.
Wow, whatever. You just keep thinking that.
If I were gay, I would be all over you.
I thought you were.
All over you?
Yes.
Or gay?
No, either.
No. Neither. Let's
be
clear about that. Even though we're actually broadcasting today from a hotel room with one single king-size bed.
Right, and it's your hotel room, and there's money on the bed.
We did not... We did not share that bed.
We did not.
Let's be clear.
No. Well, strangely enough, I was thinking about that earlier today, and
about sharing the bed with me.
No, the hotel in general, because we are. This is the very first time John and I have recorded in 20. This is the 22nd episode.
Yep.
22 episodes. The first time we've recorded in person, facing each other, right across from. Right across from each other.
You have a little. I think you still have some breakfast on your mouth.
Probably.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
you don't.
Well, yeah.
I just want people
it was
to know
high
we're
in protein.
Looking at each other.
Don't tee me up if you're not ready to take the shot.
I'm ready.
As I'm drinking my
delightful. Is that a
coffee.
Pour over?
No, hell yeah. I'm going to pour it over your head if you're not careful.
You can see I've been listening to the previous PoddiMouths broadcast.
That's right. Well, anyway, I'm on the second floor, and I always think, because I have in we always talk on the podcast, I stay at Marriott, and inside the Marriott app, you can actually choose or put as a preference what floor.
High floor.
High floor.
Yep.
And I always set high floor.
Me too.
But when I get to the hotel, I always wonder, I just was checking out of my room, by the way, I'm always curious why I choose high floor. Because I really would actually prefer being on the main floor just for ease, just to get in and out. Because we've talked about this before. Right now we are recording. We've got a whole setup. We're going to post pictures on Instagram and Facebook of what the setup for John and I look like. And it looks like a mobile studio. So I don't only travel with my clothes and with my work stuff. I also travel with a mobile studio.
Honestly, I didn't see any clothes. All I saw were microphones and a mixer.
Well, how many bags did I come into the room with?
One.
No, two.
Oh,
Two
did
bags.
You come in with two? I haven't looked through your other one. But
Well,
I will
no, you're
when
looking
you
at it. It's what we're recording on. It's the computer.
Yeah, but you have clothes in your other one?
No, I already put those in the car.
Oh, I
have 2 more bags in the car right now.
Wow, you are high maintenance.
I am high maintenance.
You're like,
but I only do it for you.
You're like Ellie Mae Clampett going on a vacation.
It almost looks like it. It almost looks like it.
And if you know who Ellie Mae Clampett is, you won.
Well, they should. They made a modern movie of that.
What was her name? In the original series.
Oh, in the original series? I have no idea.
Donna Douglas.
See,
Come on.
I wouldn't have known that.
She was hot then.
Well, I don't know.
Well, back then. She wore a belt that was made out of a rope.
Yeah. You like that. You like ropes.
Well, you can cut them. It's very simple. If you're out in a cement pond and you're swimming around with a rope belt on, you're in trouble.
That's true.
That's fair to say.
Do you really think she wore the rope in the cement pond?
I don't know. I didn't really see those. No, I think she usually wore a bikini in the cement pond.
I don't know. Do we ever see the cement pond?
Yes, it was in the back of the house, at least in the show.
In the show, but they were never in it.
Yes.
Oh, were they?
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember that. I always remember them talking about it, and I never saw them in.
Yes. It was quite nice.
Interesting.
Indeed, a Beverly Hills mansion.
Speaking of mansions, back to my story.
Yes, go.
Not that we ever really get back to anything we were talking about originally.
True. This is way sooner than we normally get back to your story.
That's true. Yes. Very true. Anyways, I'm on the second floor, and so those thoughts were running through my head, but then I was hearing everyone clomping above me, and then People were playing loud radios on either side of me. Someone had their alarm go off at 4 o'clock this morning, but I don't think it was someone in a room. I think it was an empty room because the alarm kept going off.
But the point is, somebody set that alarm.
Someone set that alarm.
And did not shut it off.
Right.
That makes me angry.
And that makes me that brings me back to being on a high floor. That is exactly why I like being on a high floor. Yes, you still have either side of you to deal with, but you don't have anyone above you, and you can't hear anyone below you.
Yep.
And it's all about sound. It has nothing to do with convenience. So that was my whole story. But we are recording, like I said, together for the very first time. And by the way, folks, this is probably going to be a two-parter. Just say that right up front. I think John and I were talking about it because we have a lot to talk about today, and we want to take advantage of the fact that we're together for the very first time, and hopefully not the last time, but it probably will.
No, we'll do this again. I mean, normally I'm looking at my computer screen.
Well, John, you're still looking at your computer screen. I'm up. My face is up here. It's up here.
It's up here.
Yeah, it's up here.
You say that all the time.
I do. I do.
I know. I just caught you staring at my chest. My face is up here, mister.
Is your coffee as cold as mine?
Yeah, it's really kind of icky. But I have a microwave
it's nasty
in this
even
room.
when it's hot.
I have a microwave in this room.
I have a microwave in my room. I had, because I just checked out.
Yeah, I'm on the third floor. I was the one clomping around last night.
Yeah. Well, I was on the other end of the hotel.
Oh.
Which
I was
great.
really clomping heavily, though. You may have heard.
Maybe.
It actually rattled the walls.
Well, we were here with a whole bunch of military people. I just figured they were
marching.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think they were. They were on the third floor down the hallway, I think.
Yeah. I felt.
Can I just say really quickly as an aside for that, I had breakfast, went to the gym this morning. It doesn't look like it.
I think you're swole. You're totally swole.
Unfortunately, it's my belly that's swole. But I had breakfast right after, and there were probably 35 or 40 military people downstairs, and they were the nicest folks. There was a table open, and it was kind of in the midst of them, and I just walked over and said, "Excuse me," and they said, "Good morning," and they were just so nice and pleasant, and that's pretty awesome.
Did you thank them for their service?
I did thank them for their service because that's, I mean, yes. And they're all, you're welcome or thank you or whatever.
I would feel so uncomfortable if I were a military person and someone said that to me, because I would probably be the guy that, even if I was over in the front or in a war zone, I would probably be the guy in the radio room trying to fix things. I wouldn't see any action. So, yeah, hey, you're welcome.
Well, you're still serving, though.
I know, and I have a lot of respect for service people. I think we've talked about this before. I am actually the very first person that I know of in my entire family, at least on my dad's side, not to join the service. And it was something we've talked about regrets. We talked about regrets in the last episode, and I have very few. One of them being what we had talked about, the not traveling around, but the other also being having joined the service. Now, I have multiple degrees, which no one else in my family does. So I went a different path, and I know my mom and my dad are both very, very proud of me for that. And I don't think my dad would have had it any other way. But it is still something that I had looked at it when I was deciding to go back to school, was to join the service. You could still do it. I still could, technically.
I think you should.
I think the cutoff there was only one area, which is military intelligence in the Navy, I think, and I could be wrong. So anyone that is still active member or active military or anything that knows that, please reach out and let us know. But when I was looking, which was several years ago, 40 was the cutoff for military intelligence, and that was the oldest you could be going in. So,
and that probably has something to do with the fact that you and I could never qualify for anything that had intelligence in the title.
Exactly. So, yeah, I would never make it
in. Despite your 10 degrees.
Right.
Which was a wonderful band back in the 70s.
10 degrees?
I think so.
Of separation?
I know there was
I'd like
3
10 more degrees of separation from you. I know that.
Yeah, if you get any closer, you'll be behind me.
I like that.
Let's move along.
So, back to the hotel. There's 3 floors in this hotel,
yes,
and I was on the second floor.
There are 3 floors. Okay, so here's John's pet peeve of the day.
Okay, pet peeve.
There's 3 floors. Theirs is a contraction of 2 words. There is.
Correct.
So you would never say there is 3 floors. You would say,
are.
Amen, brother.
Right.
So no more there's 3 floors. There are 3 floors. Or there are. Yeah, I'll even let you get away with that contraction. THERE apostrophe RE.
Yeah, and I am guilty of using contractions a lot more than I should. I know that.
You just said the word "I'm." That was a beautiful contraction.
Thank you. I did that on purpose. Did you hear me pause before I said that? Because I wanted to make sure I said it. I think it would be funny, though.
I'm sorry to be a dink about that, but it's because you see it everywhere.
Right.
It's really where people say there's, when you're talking plural and it's a singular tense.
Right.
There is.
Right.
Sorry, it's not really a tense. It's a singular number.
But you're making me tense right now.
Then my work here is done. See, this never happens when we're not together.
Right? Well, I bet, you know what else is going to be the nice thing, editing-wise? And this is way too much information for the listener, but sometimes...
Oh, good. Well, then let's share it.
Absolutely. When we're actually recording separately and we're recording using the software that we use... there's some slippage between the two of us. So I actually have to move our individual tracks back and forth once to make it sound like we're actually talking.
Because don't you hate that if you ever watch a show on television or something and the audio doesn't match up with the video? And in your case, of course, when you're doing the editing, it's all video or all audio. But yeah, that drives me crazy when there's
when there's a little bit of slip.
Well, overlap or slippage in the other direction where there's pauses.
A lot of the ones you see, that's an ADR mistake. And ADR, I don't remember what the acronym stands for, but ADR is basically when the actor goes in and re-records their voice because something happened when they were on set or they didn't like the way it sounded or they wanted to change the line because it was not quite what they wanted. And sometimes you see that when they've changed the words that are coming out of their mouth because they'll say one thing but you'll hear something different.
Yeah, but those are those movies that we're not supposed to be watching anyway.
Right? I'm not even going to go there.
Good,
I'm
thank
done.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I could, yeah. Anyway, back to the second floor.
That's very cool that you're able to do that. Okay.
Yeah, so the audio slips once in a while, and it's just all you hear is just blank space. Like you'll make a joke, and then there'll be silence, and then you'll hear me laugh.
I just assume it's because you were trying to catch your breath because it was so funny.
That could be definitely but usually you hear a lot of pounding on the table when that happens. I have to take that out because it sounds horrible.
Yes, there's Nick pounding in the table and one of John's jokes again. I can't tell you how many times that's been uttered.
Right?
Yeah, 0.
So, John, why are we together today? We are in beautiful downtown London, Kentucky.
Nice pause. That was a purposeful pause.
And we're in a hotel that only has 3 floors because they build towers here in London.
It's the London Bridge was nearby, I think.
Yeah, it was. It was.
We went over London Bridge, I think, last night.
It wasn't quite a bridge. It was more like a. Yeah, it wasn't a river. Definitely wasn't a river. It was more like a crick.
It was
a crick down on the holler.
Crick spelled Creek.
Right.
Oh, that's crick right there.
That's right.
We grew up. My dad used to say that. We grew up next to a little tiny river. It was a crick.
It was a crick.
Yeah.
Well,
I love that.
So let's talk about now. It's not contractions, but crick versus creek, roof versus rough.
Oh,
do you say rough in?
I say roof.
Roof. It's kind of in between a rough and a roof.
Yes, my dog.
He says roof. Right.
Rough.
Yeah. Well, we were before we started recording. We were talking about my aunt came to visit.
Yes.
Or aunt.
Yes.
Depends on what part of the country you're in.
Well,
aunt or aunt.
You say aunt.
I don't know anymore. It's whatever's comfortable, and I'm sure I'm saying it wrong somewhere.
Oh.
I mean, I sometimes people look at me funny when I say aunt, so I say, oh, I mean my aunt, and then and vice versa. Sometimes people say,
wow, you're very sensitive to that.
I'm very
if you
sensitive.
notice that.
I'm just a sensitive person. I'm a very sensitive person.
Here's that pause again.
Anyway, my aunt
yes.
was my mother's sister was visiting us over this past week, and we were talking about Minnesotan. That's a language, Minnesota.
Yes, it is.
And the fact that a lot of Minnesotans are now saying soda instead of pop.
Ah, right.
Because John couldn't quite hear me. We were playing with the headphones earlier, and he made a joke about his food last night, and I said, including the pot, P-O-T, and he said, oh, yeah, I can tell you were in Minnesota. You were saying pop, and I said, no, I said pot. He said pop.
I didn't have any pot.
I know you didn't have any pot. It was a joke. It was meant to make you laugh, but you thought I said pop.
So I didn't laugh.
So you didn't laugh.
But
And that was the first time someone has not laughed at me in my entire life.
Yes. We ended up talking, this is us going down rabbit holes.
Right.
We ended up talking about regional colloquialisms.
Yes. Yep. That's where I was going. And that's where the whole roof versus rough came from. Because when I was growing up, it was a rough.
Really?
Yeah, it was a rough.
Okay. I don't know as I've ever heard, just me, that I've heard it referred to as a rough. As a rough as opposed to a roof.
Yeah. Well, I have.
He just motioned me to get closer to the microphone because
he
I'm
kept
not
backing
loud
away.
enough.
Well, no, it's not loud. I could still hear you, but you started echoing. It sounds like you're in a hotel room somewhere.
I am in a hotel.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, in beautiful downtown London, Kentucky.
We always come back to that, don't
Yeah, yeah. We're gonna. Well, so today we're in London, Kentucky, but tomorrow we're going to be in Paris, Tennessee.
we? It's the same,
No,
isn't it?
well, one's in Tennessee, one's in Kentucky.
Yeah, but it's kind of the same.
Yeah, it is the same.
Okay.
All right. Moving on.
But why are we here?
Well, we were here for a meeting.
Yes.
But we have been playing a little bit of tourist in the city, and I think you have plans today on because we're heading back to Nashville. We're going to hit the podcast, which podcast conference, which I'm really excited for.
Geek City.
Geek City.
It
I'm going
is
to fit in
gonna be-
we're both going to fit in so well.
I am not. They're gonna.
You're going to wear a Harley T-shirt, aren't
They're
you?
gonna think I'm with security or
Probably.
something.
Well, you're my security. I am so famous for this podcast. I have
know
to
you
walk
are.
around with security.
Well, there's a chance that someone might recognize you.
Not for the podcast.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know we were holding it to podcast.
Yeah. Anyway,
we are getting some loyal followers.
We are getting some lawyer followers.
Lawyer followers. Yeah, I'm sure of
We
that,
need those
too.
followers.
Yeah, we'll probably be getting a call after this one.
Right. You guys were bashing London, Kentucky. I mean, hell. I haven't said anything bad about London, Kentucky.
Wouldn't
It's beautiful.
you open a restaurant here? It really is actually nice here. And we found a nice restaurant last night, didn't we?
We did. Not eat, drink, road worthy, but definitely good. The peanut butter pie.
No, oh yeah. So they had, and thanks. Now I'm going to have to come clean that I had peanut butter pie last
Yeah,
night.
but you did work out this morning.
Dang, it was good though. Not the workout. The pie was incredible.
Right. I'm sure the workout was good too.
No, it wasn't. It was terrible.
I loved your joke this morning, though. John texted me and said, "Yeah, I got to have breakfast down with the military guys, and they asked me to go for a 10-mile run." No, what did you say? Oh, you put it. Oh, now I forgot it. I screwed that one up. I'm going to pull the text up.
That's exactly what it was because it was no funnier than that.
No, it was pretty darn funny. I chuckled. All right, so he said, "I ate with my military buddies. They asked me to do a 10-mile jog with them, but I passed out." That was good.
Which I would have passed out.
See, I'll give you credit for the good jokes you make.
Well, it's not like there were that many to choose from.
No, there really
I
aren't.
send you texts all the time, and this is the first time I think you've ever said that was pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
Usually
it's true. It's very true.
Sleep-inducing.
Yeah.
So we worked together, as many of you know, and we actually did have a client meeting yesterday, and we ended up here. We decided to stay in London where the meeting was, and have the opportunity for, again, the first time ever to do this together live. And I mean, we're often live, but
We're often, well, we're never really live.
No,
That's all pre-recorded.
true. We should go live sometime.
Oh, so pet peeve of mine.
What?
And I use it too because
live
it's just
versus recorded.
live versus recorded.
Yeah.
Or
Yep.
when people say, "I'm going to film you," I'm filming today.
Unless it's real film.
Right. Well, no one uses, unless even Hollywood doesn't necessarily use, unless they're trying to be classical, they don't use film anymore. It's all digital.
All digital.
So I'm recording you. I'm not filming you.
That's correct.
And it drives me absolutely nuts. And that could be the former film student in me. I don't know. But I used to be almost militant about it, but now I don't really care.
Like I am with grammar.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Well, no, I'm horrible with
made it
grammar. I
worse.
know that.
You
which
are
is
not.
Well, I am and I'm not. So I find it
Grammar's
fascinating.
exceptional.
If I actually use a tool when I'm writing, Grammarly.
Yes, I'm familiar with
I love Grammarly,
Yeah.
and it points out my flaws, which But
does it talk about your fat cheeks?
it does. It really
You do
does.
not have fat
I don't
cheeks.
have.
You're
Well,
very
I've
svelte.
lost about 10 pounds.
Really?
Yeah.
How'd you do that?
The only way I know how. and that is to watch my intake.
Yeah.
And you saw me pull out. I have an app. What drives my wife
right.
absolutely nuts.
Right.
But I have an app that I track my calories with, and that's how I usually lose weight.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, you look very svelte.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
And you look good as well. I finally get to see you in person. We don't get to make fun of you.
I probably look.
Right, exactly. And you do have a full head of hair. I'm proud of you.
I do have some hair.
That's great. Yeah,
I do have some hair back. Yours is coming in slower.
Much slower. It's so slow it's going backwards. Backwards.
I really want to talk you into doing a comb over.
No.
Come on.
No.
I think it would be awesome. So I remember, you'll appreciate this.
Okay.
I remember, and I get to do like a visual with him, so this will be great. One of my high school basketball coaches had he was completely bald down the middle. Oh, good, you're taking a picture of this. This is great.
No, I'm filming you.
Oh, video.
Yeah.
You're filming me with tape. He was completely bald down the center, but then he grew it out really long on one side. And so I swear it was a foot long on one side, and he would comb it over like that.
Oh,
and
wow.
so we'd be in a basketball game, and it would fall down, and he'd have to go back over the top. I think you could pull that off.
I probably could. It's just, do I want to?
I just think for one time you could try it just to... It'd only take you, I don't know, a year to grow it out a foot long.
No, not really. My hair actually grows really fast.
Then?
I have to cut it. I should probably cut it once a week. I cut it every 2 weeks. But yeah, by the time I cut it, my sides are pretty poofy.
You keep it... now you're using technical terms.
Yes, poofy.
You keep it close, though.
Yes,
and that's
I do.
good. And I noticed that as I lost mine, that you have to do it more often.
Yes.
Because normally I'm like once a month.
Yeah.
Or used to be once a month. Now you kind of, if you want to keep it close, you got to do it more often.
Yeah.
Otherwise it looks ratty.
Yep, I do. I cut it quite often, and even if I don't, if I let it go, if I went a month, it would be like,
and that's not a good look.
Bozo the Clown.
I mean, it's a good look on Bozo.
It is.
But
it is.
You've seen that look, and it's not good.
Speaking of visuals, and I might cut this out. But we were playing.
Will
I
not.
was teaching. I never do actually.
Good.
I shouldn't say that. We were playing with Snapchat. My aunt is not
Auntie.
that technically savvy, so she was relying on me to show her things, and my daughter wanted her to download Snapchat because she likes the filters.
No,
so
Grandma
I did this one.
Or Grandma.
So she's close.
Auntie.
She's auntie.
With. Wow. You need to post that.
Oh, I should.
Yes, you
I'm going to get the audio
should.
one more time. I'm going to play the audio, but just so people get the visual, it's I'm using a filter on Snapchat, and it's a clown filter. So I've got a clown face, and then it changes the voice. So it's.
Wow.
And that's my daughter giggling in the background.
And I like how you say the filter changes the voice. I've heard you use that voice.
That's
often.
true. That's true.
So
That's why there's money on the bed.
Unfiltered. Okay, so the money on the bed to which he keeps referring is the tip I leave for the maid. And I always leave a tip for the maid.
Which is fantastic. And I wish I never have the forethought to
bring cash.
So I never, I'm sorry to anyone that is a housekeeper at a hotel. I really do appreciate the work that you do and how you keep my room in shape, because I don't.
Because you don't keep your room in shape?
No.
So I know can I just tell you, representing all the maids, what they're thinking right now?
That cheap bastard.
Something like that.
Yeah.
They probably didn't say it that way.
Nicely.
They probably didn't say it in English. But that what?
Wow.
No, that's
wow.
not true. No, but look, there's a reason for stereotypes. Is sometimes it's based in reality that indeed that's what you find. Now, different parts of the country have different
ethnicities.
Maids. And I will say that here, I have, gosh, where was I last week? can't remember, but it doesn't matter, somewhere where there were all English-speaking mates.
Yeah.
And Miami, where I'll be next week.
And I bet you they speak German there. A lot of German, right?
Mostly militant Germans.
Militant German,
you can
right.
tell, hey, when you be done with your... I can't really do a German
No, that
accent.
was
Can
not
you?
good.
You have relatives in Milwaukee, maybe.
That's good. That's very good.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that was
did
kind
it.
of a Colonel Clink. I have to go.
That was. But hey, Colonel Clink works.
Colonel Clink on that.
Yeah.
Hogan.
I know nothing.
That was Schultz, kind of.
I know. It was. I went both ways.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, then.
Wow, I got John to stop.
I love when they just hang there like that because our listeners are going, I knew it. Nick goes both ways.
Yeah, as he was doing the hand gesture. Wow, John, we're going to get in so much trouble for this episode.
Can I just tell you that the people you were complaining about who last night were loud in either room on either side of you?
Yeah.
Imagine our neighbors right now.
Right? Hopefully they've checked out. It's
boom,
probably
boom, boom, boom.
We haven't gotten that yet, so they probably have checked out.
It's early.
It is early. And it's not that early. I mean, it's early enough. I mean, it's not workday early, but
No, that's true.
it's not military. Because most of the hotel is probably taken up by military or police because we had some state troopers or state police here too
There
last
were a
night.
couple of troopers, and they were coming in, and I noticed you slowed down.
Well, a lot, yeah.
when we
Well,
saw them
I don't want another ticket.
Did you get a ticket?
No, I've only had one ticket in my entire life.
Wow.
Yep, I'm very lucky. Very lucky.
Is it luck, or is it? It sounds to me like luck meets skill level as far as what.
Well,
cops
I don't.
like.
I don't speed.
Okay, so
That
you
is
don't speed,
that is a complete lie.
period.
You followed
Yeah,
me
I was gonna
yesterday.
say,
The only reason I didn't speed yesterday is because there was a cop in front of me.
but I think the whole speeding thing
Yeah.
is mislabeled because. So, for example,
So you're trying to say the speed limits are suggestions,
well, they kind of are as long as you use common sense.
right?
So it's 70 miles an hour on the interstate real close to us, and we just went down one
Right.
exit or up one exit.
So it's appropriate to go 79.
No, I avoid 79, although you can probably and get away with it as long as you're not an idiot.
Right.
Usually for me, not knowing the state that well, Kentucky, so yesterday I was 75, maybe 76. But that's really it.
Right.
But state roads, unfortunately, I was relegated to state roads, as I told you, on the drive down
Right.
here from Lexington. And there was some traffic and blah, blah, blah. But even in a 55, typically I'm 61. And that's really where I want to keep it, I think.
Yeah.
Just because you don't know the area.
Right.
But they used to pull people over Highway 30 in Indiana between Chicago and Fort Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
If you went 60 in that 55 mile an hour zone, they would pull you over.
Right.
And so, seriously, I was going 60 and a 55. I never got pulled over, but saw plenty of people who did.
Sure.
So my contention is, I'm dragging it out. My contention is that if you use the left lane for passing only, and you get back in the right lane as you're supposed to, and if you do not speed to a ridiculous degree, 5 miles over, maybe up to 9, I don't know. Officers, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Just don't do stupid stuff weaving in and out of traffic,
Sure.
because you'll get a lot of tickets and you deserve them.
Exactly, and you make a really good point there too. When I drive, I usually like to stay with traffic. I mean, that's just the smart way to do it. You know,
sure.
And when I lived in Atlanta, I swear to you, I would be going 90 miles an hour and still have tons of people passing me because I wasn't going fast enough, including police officers.
So apparently that's okay.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Wow. So, well, we've talked about that as a pet peeve.
Yep.
Way back when we did our pet peeve episode, are the people that because a cop is going faster than you are, they're going above the speed limit. That doesn't mean you can follow them.
No,
they can still pull you over.
Yes, they can.
I don't know if you could, if you look close enough, especially the state troopers. You can see a radar in the back of their car, and they are.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah,
that.
they're clocking you.
Surprised me. But
yeah.
Well,
no,
you think it's like old school, and I approached one on the interstate the other day, and it's weird because even though I don't think I'll be pulled over for going 4 to 9 miles over the limit, I always slow down in respect.
Right. Absolutely.
And I don't know if they look at it that way, but it's like I'm being respectful when I drop down to the speed limit or close to it.
Right.
And they don't bother. But the point is, you think that they're shooting radar straight ahead the way they're facing, and they're shooting it wherever they want.
Wherever they really want to.
I didn't think about that, but yeah.
Well, that and it's a little bit, I don't want to say more admissible in court, I guess, because I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. But I would say if you're following a cop and the cop is going 80 miles an hour and they decide, and you're keeping up with them and they decide they're going to pull you over, now they have a true speed rather than defending
or point.
Relying on the radar.
Yeah, good point.
Or the laser. And lasers are more reliable than radar.
They've had instant on radar and instant on laser, and that's the point with lasers. They're just on like that.
Yep.
And you have no detection capacity until it's too late.
Right.
So,
and I will say, and they are not a sponsor, we'll say that, but one of my favorite devices or apps in this case actually is Waze, because Waze will tell you where all the police are.
It's funny you say that, because I'm a Google Maps guy.
Yeah.
And it's whatever you get used to.
Absolutely.
And I've used Waze, and yes, Google Maps has just started saying there's a speed trap ahead.
Oh, have they? I haven't caught that.
Yeah.
And I've been using it a little bit lately.
The problem last week, though, was that I could see the speed trap before they said it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, no kidding. I looked to my left. There's a cop with the radar running, and instantly Google goes, there's a speed trap.
Oh.
2 feet ahead? Yeah, right there.
Well, I'm curious if whether or not Google is going to start absorbing some of the. You're shaking the table, John.
Sorry.
You're always shaking the table.
Whatever. I'm sorry. Okay.
You know, if we built our studio out, we would have a solid table when I'd let you bang it.
I'd have to be strapped down. Always moving around. Okay, I'm sorry.
I was going to go on a completely different tangent, but anyway, I because Google owns Waze.
You said that last night, and I did not realize that. How long have they...
I don't know, a long time. But Waze is I believe is an Israeli company.
Okay.
Or originally was, I think. Yeah. And then Google purchased them, but they've been slow to integrate one way or another, whether it's Waze to Google or Google to Waze. So I don't know. I really don't know what their plans are. And if you hear me futzing with, hold on, we're going to pause for a second because I need to adjust the microphone a little. There, that's better.
Nick will edit that out.
I probably won't.
You have no idea what he just did.
Right. Anyway, so
it was pretty impressive. Now that I saw it in person.
I just turned the microphone.
You're a mic spinner.
Yeah, because I see you keep backing up from yours, and I'm trying to match our audio, John.
This is when you have a technician who's kind of a spaz. You are
no. If I were a true spaz, I would be stopping and telling you move closer to the frickin' microphone.
You probably would.
Yeah, I'm not that militant.
That close to it, but
that close actually sounds really good. No, you can't, and that's why I was turning it, because it's
unidirectional.
Yeah, unidirectional, because omnidirectional is the big one, right?
It's
a cardioid.
Anywhere.
It's a cardioid. You don't know what that means.
I think it's cardoid.
Cardoid.
Yeah.
Okay, I think you're right, but you know why I say that. So when
I'm right, because I am.
No, because
you mean the other part.
When I had to remember, because I took audio classes, and that was how I remembered, because a cardoid looks like a heart. So I remembered it as a cardioid because it's cardio, cardiac.
You're so smart.
I know, not really, because I still call it a cardio
but
or cardiac.
You know what it is and what it does.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Cardioid.
So it's word association.
Yes. Anyway.
Association.
Yeah. Association. I like that.
What were we going to talk about
I don't remember.
You know what's awesome about this? How far are we in?
We are 33 minutes and 48 seconds.
And we had this plan. We're going to talk about this topic, and we're going to...
Well, we talked about that like 3 episodes ago, how we just don't do that anymore. We just throw topics out the window.
Throw stuff out. That's true.
Yeah, that's pretty much. But we did have a topic today, because I texted John. Like I said earlier, we were. My aunt was in town. Aunt was in town.
Auntie. Can we just call
Auntie? Auntie. Well, that's very Asian. Is it Asian? No, it's
Singaporean.
Singapore. Well, which is Asian. There's because there's the movie out, and it's actually really good. It would surprise me. It's Crazy Rich Asians. Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah, I've seen it. I haven't. I mean, I've seen.
Or did they call them all grandmas? Maybe it's the Indian. I think India they call everyone auntie. I don't remember.
Everyone auntie? Even
older generation. So everyone of an older generation, they call them auntie.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I
think I could be wrong. All of our Indian and Asian friends, please. Not the Indian is Asian, but yeah.
Correct, Nick.
Yes. Anyway, moving on. We're going to get in so much trouble.
We
are so insensitive.
I don't think we're insensitive. I think we just call stuff out the way it is.
But we call it out wrong. That's the problem.
well, that I can't argue with. Nor would I want to.
Right. Anywho.
Yes.
So we were in Nashville, and
Yes.
it was Memorial Day weekend, so a long weekend, and we had Monday off as well. So when we take people around Nashville, we don't usually take them out on Fridays or Saturdays because of all of the tourists, right? We usually take them out on Sundays because most things are still open, but you don't have to deal with all of the major crowds. Most people are on their way home. So, well, we did that this week, and we were idiots and forgot that Monday was a day off for most people, and that people were taking long weekends, and that Nashville had more tourists than usual.
Why?
Just because it's a tourist haven.
But I mean, why? Was there something going on in particular?
It's just close to a lot of places, so I'm sure a lot of
Oh,
people
no. I mean, I know Nashville's popular, but you said more than usual.
It just seems like more than usual because we are locals, and even locals call us locals now because we've been there so long, even though we're transplants originally.
You're being accepted. That's all.
It is, and that's so. It's really cool to some. Some are accepting us, but really what they're talking about. And someone actually said this to us. They because of all of the major changes that have been happening in Nashville lately. Someone asked. We said, "No, we're transplants," and they're like, "When did you move?" Instead of "Where did you come from?" "When did you move?"
Oh.
And I said, "About 12 years ago." And most people, and this. And one in particular said, "Oh, well, you're considered locals now because you were here before all the changes started." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I can accept that." So but we are locals. We live in Nashville, so we avoid tourist parts of town like the plague. And they're very easy, very recognizable. Oh, John's getting a call.
I'm not taking it as texts, and it's 1,000 of them.
1,000
all at one time.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So just real quick interjection.
Yeah. Oh no, we're gonna leave that topic.
We're coming back.
I know we're gonna come back.
My sister-in-law is notorious for that. When she texts, it's like 15 at a time.
Okay.
And it's usually there may be some wine, but it's usually like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and it's always boom, 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 boom. And I know, shut off your phone, John, then you won't have and you're right.
You have a D&D in there, don't you?
I of course. I have all that, and it's usually on my charger, next to me, and because you get in the habit of doing that. But it's funny, and you just go, wow, all at once? All of these at the same time? Anyway, that's what it reminded me of. So
yeah.
Please continue. So talk about when you said that you were there before all the changes.
Right.
What changes?
What's
going on in
the
Nashville?
Explosive growth that Nashville is one of very few cities in our nation that had gentrification, and we'll explain gentrification here in a minute for those of you who don't know what it means. Hopefully most people know what it means, but I had to explain it to some people recently. But it's one of very few cities that has had gentrification on all four sides. And it's pushing out and further out and further out, which we talked about earlier. One of the reasons we moved in ahead of our schedule, was just to be able to avoid some of the extreme price hikes. But real estate, I think Nashville is probably going to hit a bubble again. We've had so many people move in, and a lot of the people that are moving in, because Nashville, to us we've lived there for so long, it's getting very expensive. Everything is getting expensive. I can't go out to dinner and spend less than $100 now.
And that's what tourism.
That's what tourism does. Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's getting very expensive to live there. And just a side note, when what are you clicking on? I can hear you.
You just see
all the listeners can hear you clicking.
I do this all the time.
I know you do, but we don't hear it
together.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to see if I can read your keys.
You can't.
Oh,
you're not a key reader.
So with all the people that are moving in, people are coming into Nashville and they're overbidding on houses. So if you list a house, say for $1 million, they're coming in and offering $1.2 million, and then they're paying cash for it.
Yeah.
So all of the real estate's going up as well. And the side note that I was going to is our company changes our per diem per day based on which city you're in, right? And obviously Chicago, New York, San Francisco, Seattle, they're all going to have a higher per diem when you're there. I'm hoping someday soon that they're going to raise it for Nashville because it's getting ridiculous. It really is.
You don't travel to Nashville.
I don't
to speak of.
I don't. No. And even
do.
if I was working in Nashville, I wouldn't necessarily use my per diem because I'm just going to go home and eat.
Yes.
Yes. But I feel
make sure your wife charges your corporate card when you eat at home.
Right. Yeah. We've got Square.
Yes, perfect.
That's actually a really good idea. I should think about that.
I know. No.
Too bad many of people from our company listen to this podcast.
Oh my gosh, yeah. No, we would never do that.
Never do that. Well, at least your boss doesn't listen.
Yet, but he told me, I think it was him that told me, somebody who used to work with our company used to go home on, Friday nights or whenever they were done traveling and go load up on food at the grocery store and then expense it.
Seriously?
Yes. I'm like, well, it's my Friday dinner and I was traveling earlier in the day or something like that.
That's ridiculous.
So you get a couple of T-bones and you're going to write it off. Come on.
Oh,
anyway,
jeez.
Yes, I thought you'd enjoy that.
Maybe I do things too right because I can't. Anytime I even go, I don't even know if I should put this on my card. Yeah. Maybe I'll pay for it myself. I'm like aspirin or something like that.
It's just not worth it.
No.
Yeah. What's the point?
Exactly.
Really? Especially aspirin or whatever, for $2.12.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Not worth it.
Anyway, back from the per diem. So Nashville is getting very touristy. It always has been touristy, but it's really getting popular right now for tourists and for people that are moving here. So we avoid as many of the hot spots as possible. But we go out on Sundays when it's not very busy or during the week when it's not very busy. You're always going to have tourists. Nashville's a 24/7 tourist town, but it's never as bad as it is on the weekends.
It used to be, when I thought of Nashville, I would think of the Grand Ole Opry.
Right.
And that was, back in the day, I would imagine, the number one tourist destination.
Oh, absolutely.
There. Yeah.
You're shaking the table again.
And I can't help it. Can you hear it?
Yes.
See, I can't hear anything with these. Nick brought, not only did he bring 2 microphones and a mixer and all this stuff that we have, and we've taken pictures of it, he also has headphones. Mine, unfortunately, don't work.
Yours work.
No,
I
don't.
couldn't find the adapter to be able to plug it into the board. So you're listening. He's listening from the computer rather than from the board. I'm listening to the board.
I'm not hearing. You want to listen?
No.
Yeah. Because those headphones don't work.
That's right.
Yeah, I know. He gave me the place. They say Play School on the outside of them. I'm not understanding
they are. Well, in fact, they don't say Play School. They're a nice set of Sonys, but they are Paytons.
You say they're a nice set of Sonys.
They're noise canceling.
I don't even know that. Yeah, they've canceled all the noise. If I just put them over both ears, I can't hear anything.
See, they're doing their job.
Such a spaz.
If you don't want to wear them, don't wear them. You don't need to. I just need to hear you, but I hear all your pops and clicks. And
I just like to wear them because I look good with them on.
You do.
Yeah.
You do. Well, it's mainly because of the pictures that I'm taking.
And when the maid comes in.
Right. Did you put the Do Not Disturb on the front door?
I did.
Oh, good.
Yes, because I think of those things.
Right.
Okay. So you said gentrification.
Gentrification.
What would your working definition of gentrification be?
It's working definition. It depends on my audience.
Well, no, but you know your audience here.
That's why I have to be very careful.
It is me and our awesome followers.
Hey, we have 25 active listeners.
Wow.
25.
Wow.
Our goal is to get up to 100.
Did you hear that, listeners? You're active.
You're active.
So if your husband or wife asks you, you need to be more active. Well,
yeah. Well, the PoddiMouths. Yeah, they say I'm active.
I'm an active listener.
That's right. I forgot where I was going with that.
You were going with gentrification.
Gentrification. All right. So gentrification in layman's terms, or as best I can describe it, is when affluent people move into a neighborhood or into a part of town and they start taking some of the older homes or older neighborhoods and either rehabbing them to bring them up to modern standards, or they tear them down and build new buildings to bring everything up to a more modern standard and increasing the value of the property And also, in negative effects of that is a lot of times they're moving poor people out.
Yes.
And they have to go further out to be able to afford the property.
I equate it with something we were familiar with when we lived in Michigan. We were about 45 minutes out from Detroit. And we were in the lakes region is what they called it. These lakes are very nice, and some, they're usually, I suppose, 1,000 up to 2,000 acres, and, nice sized lakes. But there were several instances of cottages that were there. They were lake cottages that had been in families sometimes for 40 years or longer. And you're right, people would come out, usually more affluent people would come out, would buy these cottages, and then they would tear them down or do all sorts of renovations to them. And the other outcome of that is it increases the tax rates for the entire area around the lake. So you say that, it moves poor people because it changes the pricing structure, and you're right, but it also causes people who may not be that wealthy but happen to own these cottages to need to sell, because they can't afford the tax burden anymore. And it's incredible, and you said it beautifully. So I'm looking at Wikipedia. Gentrification is the process of renovating deteriorated urban neighborhoods by means of the influx of more affluent residents. You said it perfectly.
You had to look it up on Wikipedia. I did it from the top of my head.
Well, but you've used it before, and I necessarily haven't. I witnessed it, but I didn't call it gentrification. We called it building McMansions.
Yeah, well, I use that term too.
Yeah, but you're right. That's awesome. That's it's something that happens that. I mean, it's in my hometown, or in the town we live in right now too. You see these small little lake homes. Which are small little. They're small and they're little.
But it's different from tiny home living.
Ding. And so some of the lake homes are maybe 1,000 square feet, maybe. But they're still probably $300,000 because the lot is probably $295. But then you'll see this small lake home, and right next to it is this massive 8,000 square foot.
And that's absolutely ridiculous.
Well, it kind of is ridiculous. I mean, I understand that. I mean, everyone is entitled to build and be where they want to be, but it just looks weird.
It does look weird,
and it takes the charm away from people that used to go on weekends. Hey, let's go up to the lake. And this is a little small cottage and. Blah, blah, blah.
I'm sure your family was the same. Someone in your family probably had one of those little cottages. I know mine did.
Not on a lake. My dad called it the deer shack.
Deer shack.
And it was. Nice. It was nothing more than, I think they built it as an 8x12 structure, and then it got bigger and patches onto it and so on, and it ended up as an A-frame. As a kid, though.
Oh, I love those A-frames. I would buy an A-frame and build it now.
It was kind of cool. You've got a nice room downstairs, and then there was a loft in the upstairs, and actually climbed up a ladder to get there. And it sounds so charming, and as a kid, you just think it's the coolest thing ever. But as an adult, you say it wasn't that great because it came up for sale, and it was just not.
And see, I would buy that and rehab it and gentrify it, make it modern, and then it would be a cool place.
It would be a cool place, and then you'd be wrecking the tax rates for everyone else around.
Well, so when my mom died, my wife and I considered buying her house because it was priced well. And what my mom had a mortgage on it. She had taken another mortgage out, and I knew what her payments were, and we could have easily afforded those payments. But it was also in a floodplain, so it was that on top of it too. But it was also because she was waterfront in Minnesota, and for a long time, by the way, in waterfront in Minnesota excluded rivers. It was only it was only lakes. But then the tax code changed, and it included river as well. She was on the Mississippi. So taxes were unbelievably high, and then throw on top of that,
different.
And then throw on top of that the flood insurance. We couldn't afford the taxes and the flood insurance, so we didn't even try for that.
Wow. Yeah, and I think about that too. Near us is the Rock River in Wisconsin, which is Janesville area and north, and a river's a different stuff. And I don't mean this in a bad way. Some people who grow up on rivers will say they're fabulous. And some people who grow up on lakes will say, oh, no, they're way better.
Yeah.
We always went water skiing on lakes.
Right.
And so I lean a little bit more toward lakes.
I do too. And I grew up on a river, and I like lakes
did too,
better.
But it was a little creek.
Right. Ours was not quite a little creek.
No, was it big?
It was the Mississippi.
Oh, you were on the Mississippi. Yeah. Well, and so
up in Minnesota, it's pretty small.
Like the Ohio River, the Mississippi is, as they call it, muddy. It's and it's fine. It's great for transporting goods, and it's great, the river boats and all of that. But for sporting activities and stuff, I've always been a lake guy.
Yeah.
But that's just me. And some people, there's dammed rivers that are, and you just do a little
notice,
that
I
damned
smiled.
river.
I smiled.
Yeah, I know you did, and I don't see you normally, so I have no idea if you're smiling. But dammed rivers would fall in kind of a weird zone,
right,
to me.
Well, that's pretty much what you get down here.
Dammed rivers,
and lakes, land between the lakes in Tennessee and Kentucky.
Well, Nevada.
Nevada too,
Havasu,
Lake Havasu.
Some of the others, which is enormous, by the way.
Massive.
I didn't realize how big it was.
Yeah, it's very massive. And speaking of history and reclaiming and rehabbing things, when the drought that is now officially ended in the southwest.
Yeah.
When that happened, the lake got low enough where you could actually see some of the old properties that it swallowed, and also some of the airplanes that had crashed in there and stuff. And that stuff is fascinating to me. I love that. It's really cool.
That would be interesting. And have you heard of? It's called the Salton Lake?
Yep. Salton Sea.
Salton Sea. That's exactly what it is. And I've seen pictures, and it's just. In the 50s, maybe 60s,
it looked absolutely gorgeous.
They were trying to turn it into like Palm Springs,
right?
And it never quite made it.
Well, it did for a while, but it
like
died really quickly. Yeah,
it's a wreck now. It's it's a salty.
Yeah, well, it can't even support fish life.
Exactly.
Wildlife. Yeah,
exactly. It's amazing. Okay, so tourism sometimes can cause things like you were talking about, like gentrification, for example, but also, and that's one of the offshoots of it, if you ask me.
Yes.
But also the pricing, especially like downtown Nashville,
right?
Which is where I'll be staying tonight.
Yes.
By the way.
Yeah.
There are great restaurants, and not unlike, as you said, Seattle and Miami and so on, but it's expensive.
Right.
And tourism kind of does that.
It does do that.
What are some other either purposeful or side effects, if you will, of tourism that you've seen?
Well, that you mentioned the biggest ones, but it's also just let's talk about what I had originally talked about in this instance with my aunt that was visiting, my aunt.
Yes.
So we would go downtown and just trying to turn the corner, while people were crossing the street is nearly impossible because they're off in their own world. So you can't rely on them to follow traffic signals or signs. And so you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting. And that's the biggest thing. It's just waiting.
Yep.
And that, to me, it drives me nuts. And I'm fine with it. It's not something... I heard someone say this yesterday, I think, during a podcast. I think it was Dax Shepard in his podcast. I'm going to name drop as much as I possibly can. So maybe he'll pick us up.
It's really working, yeah.
Yeah. 25, we went up.
What up, Dak?
Hey, Dax.
Oh, is it really?
It's Dax, D-A-X.
Okay. I haven't listened to it yet.
And you don't watch any of his movies?
No.
You haven't seen the new Chips?
You can't say I have.
Oh, you should. It's really good.
No, really?
No, it's horrible. But
yeah, I know.
No, he even says it's horrible.
Oh, does he really? Okay, so
no, but it is. It's good and it's horrible all at the same time. I think it'll be a cult type
cult
movie.
classic.
Yeah.
Okay, like Super Troopers.
Exactly. Well, have you seen Super Troopers 2? Not
yes,
as good as the
terrible.
first one. Yeah, I was really disappointed.
Yeah. Well, the first one wasn't good either.
I thought it was great.
It was stupid.
How about
but
Beer
it was
Fest?
funny.
Beer Fest was hilarious.
Meow, know how fast you were going?
Meow. Listen here, Meow.
Okay, so that was funny.
Yeah.
But that's one vignette.
Oh, but there were quite a few of those
There
little...
were not.
Yes, there were.
They were all terrible.
Yeah, well...
Okay, anyway, so Dax. Sorry, Dax.
I think it was him or it was maybe his guest. I don't remember, but it was... oh, now I forgot. Why get mad at the situations that you can't change? You need to look at changing yourself instead of the situation, because that situation... He was talking about traffic in L.A. He said, why would I get mad when I know that 60 years ago the traffic was just as bad, and 100 years from now the traffic's going to be just as bad, and nothing's going to change? So it would probably behoove me to change myself rather than worrying about changing traffic.
Yes and no. So I get that mindset, and I think it goes back to what Jim Rohn used to say. He used to say, and he was a great trainer who has since passed away. He would say, it's not important what happens to you. What's important is what you do with what happens to
right.
you. And that to me is it's not, well, I have to change because of the situation, but rather you have to accept certain things.
Yes.
And in Europe, it's odd because when there are traffic, it's just a whole different mindset when it comes to traffic in Europe. Mm-hmm. If you've ever seen it or been exposed to it, it's still busy and crazy, and the streets are much worse than ours, narrow-wise
right.
and windy and mountains and so on. But people accept it like they do the weather.
Yeah.
And it's something that, well, they can't change. And there's still horn honking, and
sure.
no one's mad with the horn honking. They're just doing it because they were taught to do that.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I agree in principle, yeah. Get used to that.
Right? We need to.
Yeah. What am I doing? Tell me.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Well, I need to go to the bathroom.
Oh, that's what Nick was going to tell me.
Yeah.
He was trying to, so most of the time when we're face to face, he will try to tell me, like, take my elbow off the table or get your face in closer to the microphone or something like that.
You really put a lot of emphasis on that first syllable.
I know I do. And
God,
so
I thought you were going to say a completely different word. Get your face
closer to the microphone. And now I was just waiting to see what he was showing me to do now.
I was making a little okay sign with a little tinkle in there. Is that right? Wait,
is that right? I don't know how you do it.
It's definitely not right.
I'm guessing it's not right. He's trying to show me he has to pee. And I appreciate it not just standing up and unzipping.
No, I thought you needed to because you're much older than I am. I'm sure your prostate is just in rough shape.
I've peed 3 times since we started. So
is that why you're so warm? I mean, you're sweating.
Thank you.
All those pauses in the audio, that was John.
That was me peeing.
Yeah.
That's fine.
That's why he lets me talk so much.
Well, listen to John. He's so respectful of Nick's thoughts and no, I'm just peeing.
It's peeing, yeah.
Yeah, that's all I'm doing. It depends.
But I think we need to take a short break.
Okay, it's time for a short break. We're going to come back. We'll be freshly peed.
That's right.
And is that I don't think that's a verb.
No, I don't think so. But it could be now. It's a potty verb.
So stay
potty
right
verb.
where you are. Even if you're driving, just stop at the stoplight and stay there until we come back.
Yeah. All right, folks. We'll be back next week with the second part of the episode from beautiful London, Kentucky.